with Potomac Beads. Join me in a lot of basic stringing to make the Sonoma necklace. This is a beautiful colors in kind of that wine country, featuring a nice toggle as the focus, and then that long strands coming the whole way through. If you need any materials, you can check out the links below to shop with us online. Remember, also let me know what materials you're going to use and give some feedback below about the color options, the choices, and even some different materials that you may throw in there. Gather up your materials, which are listed again below, and have links there to shop with us online, and your bead on it board, and let's get started. So to begin the Sonoma necklace, we are going to talk about what beads to choose for that lanyard style. I have a bunch of 11 seed beads here in beautiful kind of coordinating and contrasting colors. You can use a variety of them. I have 5 different colors that I'm working with. I also have one of my Miyuki bugle in the metallic gold iris. It's a 3mm, as well as some tubelip beads. I'm going to use these down past my clasp as they fall below and add a little bit of weight to the bottom. Now, speaking of weight at the bottom, I also have here some 3x4mm rondelles, as well as some PC teardrops in the light tanzanite 3x5. They're going to be coming out and cascading down from my clasp, but I want to make sure that they're not too heavy, that it's going to be an issue and really cause kind of a choker action to happen. So in addition to this, I have some 0.008 wildfire beading thread in the green color, which is going to go with my beads. And I'm going to do about 5 feet at a time. That is going to be 5 feet of my thread, and I'm going to use 2 needles. I want 1 needle on one side and 1 needle on the other side of the thread. So to begin, I have out my first 2 colors of my 11 seed beads, as well as my toggle. Now, I'm only using the toggle loop, and you want a toggle that's big enough that you can get your multiple strands of seed beads through there. You can use a wire guard if you want to and connect in that way, but I'm going to make a seed bead loop. So I have 2 needles, one on either side of that 5 feet piece of thread. And the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to add 12 of my green seed beads. I'm going to let that drop down to the middle of the thread, making sure that I have both needles still equal on either side. And I'm going to take one of the needles through my clasp. That's going to drop the clasp down right near those seed beads. From here, take both needles, grab one more of your 11 seed beads, take both needles through in the same direction through one bead. So they're going to share that bead there. Again, making sure as I pull my needles, I pull them evenly. And you're going to see that those seed beads just made a nice little simple loop there around the toggle bar. From here, very, very simple, take 1 needle, put on all green beads, take the other needle, put on all brown beads. My suggestion is that you're going to do this for about 18 inches. That's going to allow you some space to hang down. So if it's here at 18, the lanyard's going to hang down with your leaf sitting right kind of in the middle of your chest area. So 18 to probably 20, 24 inches of each color, 1 green, 1 brown. Once you're done stringing those 18 inches of seed beads right there on that loop, you'll see how they fit and form right after the little loop on the clasp. We're going to now start the lanyard section. So for the lanyard section, it doesn't really matter, honestly, for those first couple. You can always tuck them in earlier, but you're going to take both needles and thread and bring them from the back of the toggle through the front of the toggle. Right where they hit, that's going to be the section where you kind of lift it up and you're most likely to wear the necklace. We're going to begin more length now down pretty much to the end of our thread. To do that, I'm going to start bringing in some of my crystal rondelles in that 3x4mm, some of my 3x5mm drops in the light tanzanite, as well as my bugles and my tubelip beads. So I'm going to gather out all of those materials, having sewn through now the center of that clasp, and we're going to add some designs hanging down from here. I will add about 2 inches more of the seed beads, maybe an inch more of the seed beads in those same colors that I was working on, and then start to have fun with the design and the pattern, and I'll show you what we do when we get to the end. After coming through the necklace, you're going to have an additional 4 to probably 8 inches, depending on how long you want that little tassel to hang at the bottom of your lanyard. So I went ahead and actually finished off the first one and strung the second one so you could see what was going on. I have my silver lined Smokey Amethyst then started, as well as another line that I'm going to do another row of that dark Topaz. I wanted to show you how we're going to do the ending of the design, which will also vary in length slightly. So you have that kind of start after the 18 to 24 inches, depending on your neck size. And you want to keep in mind that each end here, you want to be able to fit through the loop of the clasp. So you can do up to 6 to probably 10 inches even of seed beads coming out of that clasp. The varying length is up to you. Now I have on my seed beads here, and I'm going to repeat the pattern that I've started and working on. So I have my teardrops, then my bugle beads, and then some of my crystal rondelles. I'm always going to do them in the same pattern, but not necessarily in the, or same order rather, but not necessarily in the same pattern. So I'm going to pick up also some of my bugles in there. You can see how I started them further back. You can decide how much you want. It's really a free-for-all. And here I'm going to go then with my first teardrop, then one of my seed beads. I'll do a second teardrop facing the opposite way, one of my seed beads, one of my tublet beads, another seed bead, another tublet, and then I'll finish off with one of my rondelles. After the end of the rondelles here, as you're kind of building your design and you have those different tassel ends, I'm going to take 3 of my seed beads here, let them drop down next to my last crystal, and I'm going to create a picot trim, sewing back through the seed bead and the next couple beads up to the top usually of the crystals here. I'm going to give a nice tight pull. And this is my first strand, so I don't have to pull too hard. The second strand I will. I don't want to see any extra thread showing. I'm going to sew underneath the bridge thread, which is underneath the beads, and then make a loop and sew through that loop, creating a knot. I want to make sure that knot stays between the crystal and the seed bead. Sew up a little higher, repeat the knot, sew up a little higher, repeat the knot. When I'm getting to the end of repeating this knot here, I'm going to do a double knot. So there's 1, 2, right over top of each other. I'm going to sew through the next couple seed beads, and then I'll bring the thread out, hiding the knots there within those beads. Grab my thread burner and burn down my thread edges, making it flush against the project, but not too big that it affects the way that it flows. So there I have my next little section of my tassel. And again, there's 2 ways to do this. You can either put all of your strands through one at a time, making sure then that if you keep them here and they get too thick or too big with beads big at the end, you need to make sure that the loop section will go through and over your head. Or keep them small like I'm doing, and you can individually place them through after. So my piece is very, very long seaming as I'm working with it. So now I'm going to go back over to that second thread, or the other side of the thread here after the loop, and continue adding another 18 to 24 inches of my seed beads, and then starting up on whatever I pick as my ending pattern here for my tassel and for those little crystals and light catching beads at the bottom and the base of the necklace. Once you're done adding your strands here of your lanyard, the longer strands, I want you to make a fuller look to it. So if you're using a toggle, or if you're not, you can connect right to the bar here. If you're using a toggle, you can attach to the secondary loop like this grape leaf one. And what I've done to begin with it, to make again that illusion of a fuller necklace without going in and actually increasing the amount of seed beads, that are along the back of my neck as I wear it. I did 3 groupings for those. You can see those 3 groups, all a little bit different length, and then with those beads, the heavier beads at the bottom here. I'm going into the loop of that secondary toggle. I've done 1 loop, just like we did, 3 beads on each side of that loop, or 4 beads rather, then come out and split them, 1 going down to the brown, 1 going down to the green. Instead of tying off the threads, I've taken the thread back up to the top, 1 more time around that loop that I did, and then I'm bringing them down for a second go. So I have them coming out here, and I need to take this one. See how that came out of the green there? I'm going to go back up through the piece and back up through those seed beads around the top and bring it back down. Once I do that, then I'll have another strand here at the base, just like I have here coming out of that shared seed bead. Add your next set of your beads on. Go back up through that entire row of beads. And then again, once you get back to the top, you can feed through that loop 1 more time. You can do an additional loop of beads depending on how full you want it to be. I'm going to hang, just like I did for the front, I'm going to hang about 6 different versions of my tassel here in different colors to kind of pull down into it the colors that are around the loop. So I'm just filling in, adding a little bit more fluff. When you get to the point that you can't get another seed bead here, go ahead and create another secondary loop and start your secondary set of your little tassels hanging from the bottom here of your lanyard necklace. Once you're done stringing your whole necklace and you have your little tassels on here, you're going to put your lariat or your lanyard on as follows. You're putting it around your neck. Yours might be longer or shorter, kind of play and have fun with that. I'm going to go to the front of my toggle there, and I'm going to put my loops or my strands through the front of the toggle towards the back. What that's going to do is allow it to have a little bit more focus on that toggle. If you want to focus more on the strands, you'll do the opposite. So to put it on, I'm just feeding these through here. Remember, if you had bigger beads that had trouble getting through that tassel portion, you would have needed to make it so that it'll fit over your neck rather than the kind that I did. The pendant then will hang kind of towards the front, and all of those strands will give that fun, long lanyard look as it cascades down your chest. Again, I did mine about 18 inches, so it hangs down a little bit more, maybe about 17 inches. You can make this as long as you want or as short as you want, but it's a great little kind of boho chic look in that Sonoma wine colors. Remember to also let me know below, and you can type and say what colors you're going to do, what toggle you picked, exactly what design elements you added to yours, and give really your opinion of what you love about this design and any changes that you made to make it easier for those that are learning or in the community to get more and more ideas. As always, you can also give a little thumbs up and click on that subscribe button so you don't miss anything from us here at Potomac Beads. Once again, if you need any materials, check out the links below to shop with us online at PotomacBeads.com as well as PotomacBeads.eu.